Thanks for coming, first of all. I love the energy in the room. I'm here to talk to you guys about reality. Now, it's a very complex topic. There's a lot I need to cover, but just bear with me. A lot of the facts that I'm going to give you might seem insane. They might seem like total lies. They might seem unreal. But I swear to you, every single one is a fact. And I hope you guys go home afterwards and look them up as well. So let's start off with the definition of reality. What is reality? The first reality is what we perceive, what we see, what we believe. Your reality is real because you see it, therefore you believe it. So in this picture, the woman may be the most beautiful woman in the world in her eyes. That makes her real. Another definition of reality is everything that has existed, exists, and will exist in the future. Just take a second to think about that. Everything that has ever existed, that's reality. Now, reality is weird because the more we study science and the more we get into it, the less we know and the less we can explain. When we go into quantum physics, nanoparticles, they behave totally abnormally, but abnormal is what we'd expect. What is normal? Let's start off with electrons. When we try to quantify electrons and try to pinpoint where they are in an atom, we can't define their location as they orbit. This guy knows what I'm talking about. Now, what does that mean? It means that electrons are basically a series of probabilities. They're probably here, but they're not really here. They're here, and they disappear, and then they come back, and then they disappear again, and they reappear. So all of you guys right now, you're made of electrons. So as we speak, you're buzzing in and out of reality. Where do the electrons go? Many theories. There's a very strong theory today. We'll get to that. Parallel universes. That comes up next. Now, another thing I'm sure you guys know, atoms are made up of space, and a lot of space. So much space that it's weird that we're actually physically here, and it's weird that we actually exist. Look at this atom. You have the nucleus, and then you have the distance from the nucleus all the way to where the electrons are orbiting. It's just space. Think about that. Everything that's solid and that's supposedly matter isn't. So if we take the Earth as an example, and you measure the distance from the center of the Earth to the outside, to the crust, that's technically all space. So if we compressed every single atom in the world, the Earth could easily fit in the palm of our hands. So how is it so solid? How are we solid? Another reality, nanoparticles. They're supposed to behave in a certain way. So they're either behaving like matter or they behave like a wave. When we tried to measure them in the 1920s, they'd behave like waves. Fine. Photons, light are supposed to be waves. But when we measured them and observed them as human beings, they acted like particles. Now, I'm sure you know the double slit experiment. It's complicated and it's weird, but I swear to God it's real. So that means they shot electrons, they shot photons, they shot protons, they shot atoms. They behaved one way, and then when we observed them, they behaved another way, which means they knew that we were looking at them. What does that mean? Does it mean that they're linked to our consciousness? The way I see it is like a video game. The pixels around you when you move light up, but the rest of the game is dark. So, am I really here to you guys? Are you guys really here to me? Who's playing this video game? And who's watching us? Our universe, our huge universe, right? It's accelerating as it expands, and it's made up mostly of dark matter, which we don't even know what it is. We can't measure it, we can't quantify it. Not only that, parallel universes actually do exist, which means that these electrons that you're made out of are coming and going somewhere else, which technically means that you exist in another universe. And not just that, you exist in infinite universes. So right now, you guys are watching me. You just coughed somewhere else, you just sneezed somewhere else, you just died somewhere else, you just got up and left somewhere else. Somebody came up with a machine gun and shot everyone. The amount of possibilities are endless and are infinite and are technically real. Now, this isn't made up by me. It's made up by some really smart people. Stephen Hawking is one of them. Go ask them. Now, our universe technically could fit in another universe, which could fit into yet another universe. So size is really relative. We think we're so big and so powerful and so special, but in my opinion, we're just tiny little organisms. We're 7 billion organisms hanging around on a rock in the middle of nowhere among billions of galaxies, and each galaxy has billions of stars, thus trillions of planets. And despite all these realities, we still think we're special. I think I'm special, but I'm very limited. The top graph is the known light spectrums. That tiny little sliver there that you see, that's the visible light to us as humans, which means, we can't see microwaves, we can't see gamma rays, we can't see X-rays, we can't see anything really. On top of that, we can only see in 3D, which means up, down, left, right, forward, backwards. Now imagine Mario. Can he see me? He can just see up, down, left, and right, right? Which means I'm invisible to him. Now, as far as we know, there are 10 dimensions. There's an 11th dimension if you go into string theory, and that's not yet agreed upon. But let's just say 10. 7 more dimensions that we know of. So, whose science experiment are we? Who's laughing at us right now? Are we in a jar? You know what I mean? Like, we're tiny. So, this is reality, right? Again, what makes our reality real? Our imagination. Our capacity to think beyond our physical limits. What's the definition of imagination? The ability to perceive things beyond hearing and seeing. So imagination isn't just daydreaming or, thinking of stuff. It's everything. As I speak right now, I'm imagining my next sentence, and then it becomes reality when I say it, my reality. When you type, when you open a door, when you speak, every time you do that, you imagine first. So think about it. We can't even count the times that we use our imagination every day. So our reality as humans, the sun rises every day, We go to work or school every day. We belong to a nationality or country. We have a religion. And we belong to a race. That's all real, right? Is it? What made us thrive as human beings? What made us better than the rest of the animals out there? What made us wear clothes? What made us be here today, communicate? Many things. Luck. An asteroid came, wiped out the universe, mammals evolved, became more advanced. We got opposable thumbs. We got bipedalism. Our brains grew. Many, many, many lucky factors, in my opinion. One of the contributing factors to our success is the ability to imagine and to use our imagination. How? The ability to reflect on a past event. For example, you go to a job interview. You don't get it, but you think, you replay that video in your head. Why did I not get the job? What did I say right? What did I say wrong? That's a thin line between reality and imagination. You're there, but you're not really there. On top of that is the ability to project and analyze future events and what you're going to do and plan that. That's special. That's very special. And it's very, very powerful. That tool got us where we are today, but that tool is a very dangerous tool because that imagination becomes your reality. Children use their imagination much more than we do. Why? There's a study that shows that kids imagine all the time. First of all, so they can assess situations safely from the comfort of their own home. For example, this girl's imagining, what if this lion escapes? She can safely go through the scenario without having to actually get a lion and see what happens. Same goes for us. Now, the childhood increased imagination is a dress rehearsal for adult imagination. So it's in our genes. Kids develop that imagination and make it much more powerful as we grow. On top of that, a lot of kids have imaginary friends. They know they're imaginary friends, and they know that they're not real, but it's another perspective to see and analyze the situation from. And on top of that, it's a support structure like a family or a friend. Now that's how useful our imagination is as we were kids. So, this imagination allowed us to draw lines and boundaries. Us, them, we're better. No, they're better. No, okay. It allowed us to imagine power. It allowed us to imagine money. It allowed us to imagine race. So if you think about it, is money real? Does it even exist? It's just paper. Why does a rich person feel more powerful than a poor person? That imagination has made us do terrible things. War, genocide, slavery, discrimination, murder. And when people kill, it's okay. They're bad. They're all bad. I have one more fact before I finish. Cells. Right now, we're made out of approximately 10 trillion cells. Where did your cells come from? You guys all came from one cell. As we speak right now, just your red blood cells, there's 2.5 million blood cells being produced per second in your body. So 1, 2.5 million. 2, 2.5 million. Your cells are producing all the time. But if you think about it, it just came from one cell, the fusion of the egg and the sperm. which means your parents came from one cell, their parents came from one cell, and if you take it and roll it back all the way, that means that all of us came from one single cell. Scientifically, the trees, the birds, the animals, bacteria, virus, every single living organism came from one single cell that split. So, knowing that, I hope that you have control over your imagination, which means you have control over your reality, and try to think beyond the things and the poison that we've been taught along the way. We are all from the same cell. Thank you.